Hi, I'm Rob Cosman. Welcome to my shop, episode 23 of our drawer making. So I found some more drawers. This one's, actually, first I want to show you this. Remember we went through this the other day, the shaker laptop, shaker lap desk. And I showed you a bunch that were finished. This is one that I actually had finished. So what I did, excuse me, piece of pine, and I used bird's eye maple. So I think I told you this. I used a piece of solid maple, actually bird's eye, on the back, glued to the pine. And that's what's hinged in, that's what it is, the lid is, how am I going to say this? The hinges go into the maple, much sturdier. And then what I did, and I remember now, is this is fastened, and it's a tongue and groove. But I shaped it in such a way that there was a little bit of a bow on this one. So I clamped and glued the first little bit, probably to about there. And because there was a little bit of a bow in this, by clamping, it held these in tight, wouldn't allow them to spread out. And at the same time, in fact, you can see how much it's shrunk. You see over here? That was flush, and it'll be flush again. But this is end of winter, so things have dried out. Some really nice straight grain Douglas fir on the bottom. And then I trimmed the bottom with bird's eye maple as well, just to make it a little sturdier. I don't know if I dated this. No, I didn't. Anyway, so that was a fun hand tool project. So looking for more drawers, and I found my old portfolio when I used to starve to death building furniture. That was a few years ago. Oh, actually, that's the same drawer. So let me show you the, these are some, I did this desk. It's one great big slab of ash and one big piece of walnut dovetailed together. And then these two cabinets hang, you can, if you can look real close, actually you can see right here. Should I take it out of there, or is it glare?
No, it's fine.
Through wedge tendons, hold that in place, and then these were the drawers. Now I actually submitted that way back when. In Woodwork magazine back in summer of 1991. And there it is. So it was too heavy to bring down, so what I did is just grab the drawer out of it. Actually, I was looking at this, and I thought, no, it did a pretty good job. This was built in, I think, 1989.
Is that a 1-in-7?
Would have been, because back then that's what I used. So the drawer sides were poplar. The bottom is ash plywood, and of course walnut on the front. But look how much that just walnut does not like light. I refinished this whole thing, but it's too much work. Anyway, these were nice half blinds, and then there's a little finger recess right there that you would access if you look on that. Somewhere in here. You can barely see, but the dividers, which are big, thick pieces of ash, actually they're frame, but the dividers have got a little cutout in them, so that you can reach up underneath and open the drawer. Still have that desk. All right, hope you enjoyed that. Is there anything more in here you want to see? There's a, called that the bended ash bench, really cool bench that I built. Sold a couple of them. I don't have any more pictures of it, unfortunately. That was a piece called the Weave. It's a coffee table with sandblasted glass top, made out of ash. It's bent, 3 pieces bent laminated over a form, and then each piece is doweled where they intersect. Sold quite a few of those. And this was a bookcase, a low table, and end table. You can't tell, but it's on an angle, about a 15-degree angle. Ash and walnut. It's just an ash cabinet I built for somebody. You've seen that cherry chest. Back then, the tails and pins were proud. That was a silverware chest, all lined in leather, that I made for my sister. And she had a house fire, but just smoke damage. And when I got there the next day or whatever, somebody had this out on the lawn, hosing it down. So needless to say, that no longer exists. There's a Maloof rocker that I made back in 1989 out of, no, 1980, 87 or 88. 87, I think. That was made out of Paducah. And that was one of the first big commissions I had. Kind of ugly now, but didn't pay much attention to, well, did what you could. I think that's it. This is the first article that I ever wrote for Fine Woodworking. It was back in 1988. And that was on the wood hinge boxes. Fingers gotten a little older. And a couple more pictures. This was the summer I worked at Anderson Ranch. This was Tay Frid and Sam Maloof. They were good friends. That's Peter Korn standing behind him. And there's my mentor, Alan Peters. That picture was a lot older than 2002, but he signed it for me in 2002. All right, let me clean up a little bit. I got to sharpen my plane, my 5.5, because we got to go through now and go to work on fitting this. Oh, let me just show you a few things that we've done. So we shot today's episode for the online. Our online workshop. So we got this end together. We still have to flush it off. It had complicated because it had to pre-finish this piece, pre-finish the inside of this piece, and this piece. It'd be just too hard to try to finish spray in there. So through wedge tendons, you have to be planed up. The backside has to be planed up, and I just stuck these together just enough so it would hold everything in line while this dried up. And had some really good feedback. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. Or should we just do it? Should tell them?
Tell them.
Really would be, I think it would ruin it to put handles on this. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go up underneath and somehow make it so that you can open these drawers from just reaching up underneath and pulling and pushing it out. Now, this has not been attached yet, so I can still have access to the bottom side. And this one, when it's flushed up, will look just like this one in terms of it'll disappear. So that'll cover those three. I can still get at the bottom of these, so I got to do the same thing with these. That way that won't interrupt that. And I have to figure out how to do it so that it doesn't jam your fingers. But you just need to pull it out just enough so you can get a hold of it. And then here on the end, the big question was, how are we going to handle these? So in case you don't know, the idea behind the standing desk is the customer on the other side needs to get access to a pen or pencil, so they would be in there. There's one on either side. What I'm going to do, and it's a little sticky right now, so it has to be corrected. But when it's done up right and you just slam this a little bit, it'll puff that drawer out, and then they can access it. Because there's a little hole right up in here that goes into the cavity where that drawer is. So the dilemma is going to be, if I cut a recess in here, a hole in here to access that, you're going to have a big air leak, so that wouldn't work. So what I've got to do is figure out a way of sealing that area off so that we still have that puff of air will still work. And this is, I just didn't want to do these until we're completely done, but there's it fits perfect right up to there, but it's just a little bit snug, so we'll get rid of that last little bit. All right, let me sharpen up the plane, and then we'll go to work fitting that drawer. Okay. Oh, you know what, Jake? I got to take that
Off the cart?
Yeah, otherwise it's going to keep falling. Okay, so now we're close enough to fitting that you got to be super careful. It's still tight at the top like it was the other day. So I got to put my headgear on. What I'm looking for are any spots where the wood has been burnished and I can see it right in through here. So I'm going to take a very light pass. And before I do that, I'm going to make sure that this blade is set for the kind of pass that I want. So I'm heavy on the right. When you do that, I always squeeze. That's too much. I always squeeze the lateral adjustment lever against the side of the blade. I find you can get a lot finer adjustment.
Still heavy.
So you see that shaving is still heavy on the right. Yeah. You're looking for such a fine adjustment that it's easy to go too far. Okay. Shoot, that's picking up too much on the right. Okay, that's not going in. Same thing on this side. So just picking up a little bit of cherry. That's how good that glue joint is, huh?
Oh,
What?
what are you pushing against?
What do you mean, what am I pushing against?
No, in the center.
Oh, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Oh my goodness. You think I was actually... If I take that off and this thing slides in...
Why don't you take it off?
That's
Why don't you
really
take it off?
embarrassing. Can I hold it up out of the way?
Well, yeah. But you need to take it off anyway.
Wow. What did I use in there?
Phillips.
No. Oh yeah, but you know what they are?
Yeah, they're the big pan head.
Yeah, I know, but somebody mentioned the name today.
Yeah.
Fast cap, that's what they are.
Okay.
Did you get it when I told them what the brand was?
I think so.
Fast cap. So that's all it is. And they have their own washer on there, so they easily let that drop. And what I got to do is cut a bevel on it. So here I was trying to put this drawer in, and it was hitting against that. Fortunately, we didn't get too far, but we were close. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is try to find out if I can find out where there's an obvious, like this is my one, have we gone through any of this with these guys? So here's some shim stock. I find this incredibly valuable. In fact, we should probably be selling on our site. So this is 1 thou shim stock. And you can use it to go in there and find out. Typically you can't buy, or it's difficult to find, feeler gauges that go down below 1.5 thou. I actually just picked up some 1/2 thou, but this is 1 thou. And I just want to go in there and see if that is jamming. Doesn't seem to be. And I can run that all the way back, so it's not tight there. And I'll use it more and more as we get to the point where we're trying to find out where this is binding. Now that will usually tell me something. Okay, it looks like that bottom pin right there. So I think that's the one I'll do first. And you're going to have it in a couple of areas. You're going to have some tight spots here and tight spots there. What you have to remember is this. If I remove that, that may alleviate the problem over here. So you don't want to do this one and fix that one, then try it. That may end up being too much. So I'll go in here. Ooh, son of a gun. That would have been something now if that had smacked down. It's been a good week other than that. Okay, now try to pull this out evenly so we don't jam it. So I'm looking to see which one is worse. So I'm definitely burnishing here and here. And I'm burnishing a little bit in the middle there too. I'm going to do this one. So I'm going to take a pass, take a little bit off of here.
Do you see the burnish marks still on just the Holly side?
No, I'm seeing it. It stands out much more on the end grain. I'm going to take one more. Stands out much more on the end grain than it does on the long grain. Right. Get it in the light. Okay, take a pass on this side. I don't want to take all the material off one side and then end up having it lop, one drawer side thinner than the other. Right. As long as we got a little bit of cherry, then I know we're touching the problem. I told you this is not quick. So you're going from the most severe to the least. This right here in the middle. Now I'm going to look again to see if, yeah, I think I could take a little more off of that. I'm going to give it just a little more blade. Oh, that's too much. That went from not enough to too much really quick.
Check it top to bottom.
Well, I kind of suspected it was going to be tight, but
That's too tight.
no. Well, yeah, it is once I get in there, so that might be the problem.
Check this side.
Well, I can do it like this too. I can't see with my focal point's too far away. Okay, still could take a little off of this side. Now I'm going to take a pass. Okay, so the front is still high, so I can't use my 5.5.
You know what you could have done?
What?
You could have just tightened these in place.
Huh? Oh yeah. Well, I got to take it off anyway because I got to cut the bevel on it. That's a little more than I would have liked to have taken. I'm going to do this a few times and see if I can't really burnish it so I can tell. Now, take this off. I'm going to go up in here. That really does look tight, but I could get the shim in. I think it's too tight top to bottom. Where's my flashlight, Jake?
It should be put away.
What?
It should be put away.
Okay, that really looks tight top to bottom. Over here it doesn't.
Does it move up and down?
I can move it up and down on this one. But not on here. Now, normally I'd say nothing gets touched to here. You only work this. But I'm going to go in here and just... That's not as smooth as it could be. I just wonder... if I went in there with a block, a piece of 1 inch MDF, and went in there and sanded that. I don't want to touch this at all. So what I'm going to do, time, Jake?
You're at 25.
I'm going to, I'll use 220. I'm going to take a small block. I need to put fresh paper. Usually this stuff sticks so well, you can't use it twice. See that? It pulls the layer right off of the MDF. So it's a one-time block. Now I'm going to purposely hang that over. You'll see why. And we'll trim that right up to it. That way we're sure to get right into the corner. Now I got to keep that, I don't have a lot of ledge there, so I got to keep that turned like that. And I'm just trying to smooth out those transition marks without coming out here. I don't want to touch anything out here. Switch it and use the other side. I didn't get that off. Okay, I got a little bit right here at the front. I just got to blow that sandpaper off. Hard on the arm. Can you bring me the... I'll get it. Just want to blow that out. Now, I got to admit something. I keep finding myself hurrying, thinking you're being impatient, not wanting to see all this. Well, I can't. It has to be done. I've got to do it. It's got to be done accurately. I don't want to redo it, so just got to take my time. Fast forward if you have to. Okay, I think that is an issue. So we'll go in here. I'm going to come up here so I can get as much of it as possible. I'm going to take one more. I like to be able to see the shaving because it tells you exactly what's happening. Now what I will eventually do is come in here and cut a little chamfer this way and cut a chamfer that way. So when you're putting the drawer back in, it helps guide it. Okay, that's got a little more breathing room. I really can't. It gets to a point where it gets very difficult to try to find where it's binding. Okay, maybe down in this bottom corner. I got some plane tracks to deal with on this too. Big one along there. Frick, can you come here, please? This thing's rocking. Just pick this up so that that leg is on this mat. Pick the whole thing up. Yeah, good, thank you. Okay, that could be tight on that top. And I think this is too. Where's my shim? Right here. Ah, it's still too tight. Try this side. That's tight too. I'm doing this, and at the same time I'm trying to think, how can I keep it interesting for you people? And I haven't come up with an answer. Unless, as we've stated before, you're a diehard, then anything wood is good. So I'm going to go in here. I'll take 2 passes. Once I clean up the front, then I'll come back and I'll match this up.
You didn't do the other side.
Yeah, I wanted to do this one first, just in case it was. Okay. Now I'm thinking something else too. When I went in there and I cleaned that up with the 10 1/4, I can feel a little bit of a ridge in there, and I don't know if that's caused me a problem or not. So I hate doing this. I'm going to make a sanding block, and I'm going to go in, try to get my arm in there, and I'm going to work that side a little bit to smooth it out. I would prefer to do it with a plane, but in this case I really can't, not the way I want.
We're at 35.
All right, we got to get ready for our broadcast tonight anyway. Holy smokes, 1:45. Okay, listen, I'll tell you what. This will show Sunday. Monday, we're going to pick it up right here. I'm going to go in, I'm going to work that side a little bit with some sandpaper before I go any further. Can't put material back on here. And then we'll just keep going through the process until we finally get that to fit exactly the way we want. And hopefully that little bit of twist in there, we can deal with that. Okay, enjoy your weekend. We'll see you on Monday.